This episode of Nos Arietes is sponsored by Full Pull Wines, a Seattle-based wine retailer and proud sponsor of Nos Arietes since 2011. Full Pull was founded in 2009, is based in Seattle, and is owned and operated by longtime Sounders supporters. They offer the best boutique wines of the world to members of their mailing list, with special focus on their home, the Pacific Northwest.
Hey, this is Christian Roldan.
And Jordan Morris from the Seattle Sounders Football Club.
And you're listening to...
This is Nos Arietes.
Here we go. Come on! Hey, O'Shan! Let's go!
Save by Fry! The Seattle Sounders have done it! MLS Cup winners!
Here comes Rangers through the middle to crown it for Seattle! And now they truly can start the celebrations. It's the Sounders MLS Cup.
Nicoladero leaves absolutely no doubt! The Sounders rule the region!
Seattle Sounders is good.
Seattle Sounders, the greatest MLS team in history.
They've scored! They've scored! Finally!
This feels fucking awesome.
This is a tiny dog.
Is that what you young people call twerking?
And Portland can't say it's cheap.
We want to win. Let's see how the Sunday, bro.
Good for Seattle!
Welcome back to another episode of Nos Arietes. I'm Jeremiah O'Shan. Joining me today to help preview this weekend's game against Real Salt Lake is one of our favorite guests on the show, Matt Montgomery of Wasatch Soccer. How are things going in the brave new world of independent journalism?
They're good. I've got to say, I really appreciate that you say the name of the podcast when you introduce me.
Yeah.
Because I always forget how to say it. And I look at it, I'm like, Nos out something. And
Yeah.
and then I get a little lazy and I don't know. No, things are good over here. Real Salt Lake is not that good, but I am doing well.
Well, that's
we're
honestly,
expecting a baby, and I'm, that's kind of ruling my life, I guess.
well, those are actually my preferred situation for you is that you are personally doing well and RSL is not doing as well. But that never seems to matter. It never seems to matter when the Sounders go to what are we calling it? America First Field?
I call it Real Salt Lake Stadium.
Real Salt Lake Stadium. I like that better. It doesn't seem to matter what the form of these teams are. It's just always misery for the Sounders. It's funny. I was thinking about how almost always when the Sounders go down there, it's always they're in some weird fixture congestion. And I was thinking, oh, well, this will be straightforward. But then I forgot they were playing an Open Cup game yesterday. So of course it's never straightforward.
No, of course not.
How did the Open Cup go for you? You guys, you won your Open Cup game, right?
Yeah, we won. We didn't score a goal until the 106th minute or so.
Oh, that's the best time to score.
But we did win 3-1. So the ending 15 minutes against one of the worst teams in the USL, fantastic. But
yeah,
caveats around.
Right.
Around.
So, but things have gone a little better in MLS play recently. Like it was getting pretty dire there, but
yeah, I mean,
games, right?
We are slightly back from the cliff. We only lost 4 games in a row and not 5, which was good. But we played Charlotte to break out of that. And is Charlotte any good? I don't think so. They didn't look particularly good. And RSL has a little bit of a problem of not really having a tactical identity of note.
Right.
It's exhausting. It really is.
Well, what has gotten better, I guess, because after the loss to St. Louis, it felt like maybe the wheels were going to be coming flying off.
So I don't know if it's like players are more united and happier as people. Pablo Mastroeni, I mean, his whole philosophy is you have to support the individual and tactical doesn't matter. And he says things like tactics don't matter. But but he's clearly putting out teams to play in certain ways. So I don't think that's a literal statement from him. But I don't
just
think
doesn't want
it's
to talk
entirely
tactics with you,
unliteral. Well, I mean, I never talked to him. Too much
Right.
work.
Well, to the reporters, he just doesn't think the people does. He doesn't want to put out a lineup graphic that has the actual line.
So I don't
formation.
think that was Mastroeni. So I saw 4 coaches. I saw it started with Petke.
Mm-hmm.
And people said, "Oh, Mike Petke doesn't want the graphic." And then it was, "Oh, it wasn't Petke, it was Laura Harvey at Utah Royals." And then it was, "Oh, it wasn't Laura Harvey, it's Freddie Juarez now." And then it was Mastroeni. And our director of soccer or VP of soccer operations left and suddenly started getting graphics again. So I think I know what happened there, but lots of finger pointing.
Yeah. Okay. So you're telling me that the lineup graphics, I'm out of date. You're telling me that your lineup graphics have actual formations now.
Yeah, they look good now.
Oh, good. Well, I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, me too.
Because I felt like you guys were like for some reason the market that first was being highlighted is, why are you not doing this? I felt like was maybe a Salt Lake person. Maybe it was someone from your site that was making a big deal out of it.
Yeah, probably. We certainly weren't happy about it.
Right. Well, all that said, things at RSL are as unpredictable as ever. It sounds like who is playing well, who has helped this mild turnaround happen.
Yeah, I mean, you can't look any further than Jefferson Savarino before you start to see a true sign there. And I think it's obvious to us in Salt Lake, at least, that he's a top 1 or 2 player on this team. And, that's fine. That is what it is. And I love him, and he scores fantastic goals when he's in good form. He does not make a team on his own. We're also starting to see Andres Gomez come into his own. He's an under 22 signing, came from Colombia, and is doing really well. But it's very early days. And when I say he's doing really well, I mean he had good performances against San Jose and Charlotte. Does that mean a lot? I don't know. Paulo Ruiz is a player that sometimes looks good, sometimes looks kind of miserable. Jasper Lefelson, the same thing. He's a 25-year-old, second-year, out-of-college guy. And I think we're seeing that. And then we're seeing, I'm kind of veering off topic here. I don't know if you expected that from me or not, but
that's why we have you on.
Oh, good. And then we're seeing, like a backup right back in Emeka Anelli, who is also out of college, also like 23, 24, and was a forward in college, but is now just sort of slotting in as our backup right back. And all of this combines for a very confusing team. And it's hard to pinpoint what's going well and what's going poorly, because I don't think it's all individual. And there are individual mistakes we see and individual highlights we see. Like, what are the common factors? And that's what I'm constantly trying to figure out. It like I said, it's exhausting.
So one of the common factors seems to be the defense is had some rough outings, especially away from home, but even at home.
Yeah, losing 4-0 at home. There are few things that feel worse than that as a soccer fan. 5-0 would have felt worse. 6-0 worse.
Although it does start to be dulled once you get over 3, I think. Like each
good.
Each goal
diminishing returns, right?
Right, yeah. It's like you lose 3-0. That's a pretty solid gut punch. I don't know if the 4-0 is that much worse than 3-0, and I really don't know if 5-0 is any worse than 4-0.
I think 4 for me is a lot worse than 3, because it goes from like we were outclassed to like we were completely outclassed.
Yeah, okay.
No chance.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Because a 3-0 loss is sort of the perfect outcome in a game for your team, right?
Right.
Anything more is gravy. So I think that's true for the joy you experience from a victory.
Right.
But I think that the pain of defeat grows even stronger.
Okay, that's fair. That's a good point.
Less logarithmic.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the defense has been exposed a few times, I guess was the
yeah,
point.
You know what I think is exposing them?
What's that?
I honestly think that it's our midfield that's exposing our defense, and that's probably where you'll see the most joy. I know you've got one or two like reasonably good midfielders, so hopefully they're injured and don't play. That's my hope.
Well, the bad news, I suppose, for you is it looks like Nico Ladero, João Paulo, and Albert Rusnak, a player that who actually this is a good jumping off point.
Yeah.
How did you guys say his name?
We said it Rusnak,
right?
Or Rusnak,
right?
And commentators said it any number of ways.
So this is an interest. Like you may know this, but like so when he was first introduced here, he said his name was Rusnak, right?
Yeah.
And he's said that, he's verbalized that actually a couple times since then. But then I found, but then someone sent me audio of the official pronunciation where the players are like they send to broadcasters, and he says Rusnak. So it clearly he's like there is some like Americanizing that he's doing here.
Oh, interesting.
And so, but like no one actually says it the way that he originally pronounced it. They just say Rusnak. They don't kind of have that, Eastern European vibe to it. But I don't know. This is an ongoing mystery.
So I've done the rounds on this one a few times actually, and I think the what is that, a shorter U, the Rusnak with the ish sound.
Exactly.
So I went down this weird train. He's from Slovenia, right?
Yep.
Or
Slovenia?
Slovakia.
One of those two.
I need to check that because that would
I think it's in Slovakia. Wait.
Slovakia, yeah.
Oh shit.
It is Slovakia. And
okay, good. Woo!
Woo! So I went down this because he's got the accent over the U.
Right.
So I was like, okay, what does that mean in Slavic languages and whatever they speak in Slovakia? And I think what I came to, and this is me trying to pull from my memory banks, is that with that accented U, it was that sound. But it's kind of between like a Rusnak and a Rusnak.
Right. It's like the slight roll of the R, I feel like, is a key element to the oo, to giving you the oo sound. But
yeah, you got to have that right transition moment.
Right. And so then you start sounding like a silly, like you're overdoing it. Then if you're like, you save your one pronunciation for this one player because.
So there's this. If I don't know if you've ever spent much time in Utah.
I haven't.
Utah's great. I love Utah for a number of reasons. I don't love Utah for every reason. That said, so there's a stereotypical, 20 to 30-year-old man idea who has recently been on a religious mission to a Spanish-speaking country, coming back and speaking, saying Spanish words with like excellent Spanish pronunciation and like transitioning back immediately to like their Utah drawl.
Right.
And it's very funny. And if you're ever in line at like a taco stand in Salt Lake City, and there's a great one, if any Seattle supporters are coming to this game, I don't know if you know any who are, but any of you,
I hope some are listening to this podcast.
So in the north supporters lot, there's a taco truck or a cart, the name of which I've forgotten, but there's only one. Excellent tacos, just top class, probably my favorite in the city, and it's there every home game. So all that saying, it's just funny.
But so when you order so what you're saying is like if you stand in line at this place, you're going to hear some people asking for carne asada and then saying and a Coke.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Easy. And
by the way, is Utah what do you call soda in Utah? Is it soda, Coke?
It's generally soda. Pop? Yeah, we're a soda state.
Okay.
Occasionally hear pop, but I think I heard that more growing up in southern Utah.
Yeah.
But Coke is reserved specifically for Coca-Cola.
The brand. Right. Okay. That's a southern thing, I guess, right? They call everything Coke.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a funny little thing that I learned after moving to Washington, was that it used to be a pop state, But then as Californians basically took over the state, it became a soda state. But there are still pockets of the state where they say pop. But soda is definitely sort of the mainstream pronunciation. And that for a long time, I guess soda was almost exclusively a California term. But because of television, it sort of branched out and became the dominant word.
Interesting. I mean, I prefer the term soda because it's the most accurate to what it is.
Well,
right?
that's of course
sodium bicarbonate, making the sparkling stuff.
Everyone knows that.
But I've got a soda stream, which uses carbon dioxide, right, to carbonate it, but is not. They call it a soda stream, but there's no sodium bicarbonate involved.
Wow.
It's very confusing to me. And if anyone wants to clear this up, I don't know, yell at me on your favorite social media site.
I appreciate your RSL takes, Matt, but I have to take issue with your.
Yeah, I want this. This is what I need.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about my RSL takes either.
Right.
Come at me for soda.
So while we have you, I may as well ask you a few more RSL questions.
Yeah.
Anything interesting, notable going on with the roster for this week that we should know about?
Yes, it hasn't been announced officially by the club, but of course Tom Bogert broke it, so it's as good as gold.
Yes.
And that's the arrival of Andrei Shinyashiki in exchange for Justin Miram.
Oh, has that not been announced?
It has not been announced.
Oh, so that's hilarious.
I don't know if that'll take effect for Saturday. I don't know if RSL is just slow at announcing things. I don't know if there's a hang up. I don't know if it fell through. But all the players were wishing Justin Miram, good luck and goodbye and all that. So I assume it's a done deal. But if it, as to whether that makes a difference on Saturday, I don't know. The other thing to know is in that Open Cup game, we did have 2 center backs go out injured. And Justin Glad came out in the 60th minute. We assume he's not injured, but he did take a little bit of a knock in the first half. So there's like this little nagging worry for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that Justin Glad would seemingly be a notable.
Yeah, to say the least.
Yeah, I was telling people, I've been telling people a lot this the last couple days because the Sounders, as you may or may not know, the Sounders rolled out a very sort of like back end roster lineup in their Open Cup game, and I sort of have been going back and forth with people saying like, look, the worst case scenario in the Open Cup is not that you lose the game. Like you lose the game, the season moves on. No one like, would I like to win the Open Cup? Absolutely. I think it's a fun tournament, but the worst case scenario is not you lose the game. The worst case scenario is that you get your star forward suspended and you get your other star forward injured and you spend 3 months losing every game that happens, which is something that actually happened to the Sounders, as you may well know.
Yeah, was that the Clint Dempsey incident?
Yes, we call the red card wedding, and I think that's actually canon now.
I love that. It's beautiful. That's one of my favorite American soccer moments, by the way.
Oh,
thank you.
It was, in hindsight, I mean, it was even at the time. I think we said we were willing to make this sacrifice for the good of American soccer.
Thank you,
because it was such a compelling story that we were able to create a narrative around. But I'll tell you, the next 3 months really stretched our patience for that because the Sounders went from leading the Supporter Shield to barely making the playoffs. Because their season was essentially torpedoed by that incident.
Yeah, I love it. I'm sorry, but I love it.
No, it's great. It in hindsight, it makes for an even better story.
Yeah, it does.
And it honestly, it sort of paved the way for Siggy Schmid to be fired and for Brian Schmetzer to ascend to the to the heights of head coach, which it's actually it was a real transformative moment for the organization.
That's very interesting. I do have the injury update if you want that.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad I was able to stall long enough for you to find.
So no starters listed as out. Andrew Brody's been playing at right back generally, but he's questionable. Anderson Julio, excellent goal scorer when he comes on as a sub. Weird starter. He is questionable. Our new left back is questionable. So there's that. And then I would count on not seeing Damir Kreilach. He played 120 minutes. in the U.S. Open Cup after coming off an injury.
Yeah. That's maybe, I don't know, might be a questionable. I'm not managing your team, but Freddie Montero played 120 minutes for the Sounders yesterday, but probably wasn't going to play anyway against RSL.
Yeah, I am starting to suspect that that's the case with Damir Kreilach as well, and his decline. I mean, he was injured for the better part of a season with a back injury, and it was a nerve issue. And late in his career, it's not a good combination. It's a combination for sadness.
Well, that's a bummer from a person that likes soccer, and Damir Kreilach also seems like a great person.
Yeah, he's generally regarded as the nicest person on the team, just outright. Everyone has a story about Damir Kreilach. My deputy editor and our photo editor over at Wasatch Soccer Sentinel, Lucas Muller. Every time he takes photos at training or at a preseason thing, Damir Kreilach looks directly in the lens, gives him a smile and a thumbs up for a photo. It's very funny, but it's just sort of who Damir is, and it's great. I love having him on the team. Occupying a designated player spot and not playing regularly, I have a little more concern about that.
Right. And so while we have you, I may as well also you guys also just announced a head coach for the reborn. Are they going to be called the Utah Royals?
Yeah. Yep. Utah Royals, their new logo looks good. Pretty excited.
Yeah. Amy Rodriguez, who is a former Reign player, although I don't know if she actually made any appearances for the Reign, but she definitely was on the roster here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an exciting thing, and it's her first head coach gig. She's obviously a legendary player in American soccer. She was great for the Royals when she was here. Will she be a great coach? I have no clue. The bar is very low for being a satisfactory coach in NWSL, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's gotten that way.
And I'm glad that we have a coach that we can be 99.9% sure is not tied up in any of the nonsense that has gone on throughout the league and went on at Utah Royals in the past. So it's nice to be free of that, even if it means we're going to learn on the job. I think that's an acceptable thing. NWSL is not so mature a league that it can't happen. So I'm excited about it.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. I thought it was an intriguing hire. I like Amy's story was she was one of those players who she took the year off when she was originally with the Reign because she was having her first child, I believe.
Oh yeah.
And then they traded her, and she wasn't super stoked about that, but then she beat the Reign in 2 straight finals. So she got kind of she got her revenge. And she also was a great story of a sort of working mom in the league, and she seems like a really interesting person. So I was stoked to see that.
Yeah, me too.
Well, Matt, I think that's a good place to call this. Thank you so much. People can read you over at Wasatch Soccer Sentinel. They can listen to you on Off the Crossbar. Anywhere else people should be looking for your stuff?
Yeah, so I've got a board game newsletter. I know we've talked about that a lot on here.
We didn't get to that today, but
that's all right. It's Don't Eat the Meeples. It's on Substack. You can find it in my profile on Twitter. And if you're not on Twitter, I'm on Mastodon at tabletop.social. I think it's just Matt at tabletop.social, so you can do that. No one's invited me to Blue Sky yet, which is fine. Everyone's talking about Blue Sky, but
today Blue Sky kind of seemed like it blew up. I don't know did something happen today?
I think people are just starting to get invites.
Oh, okay.
And then I've got a couple other newsletters I play with, and we'll see where those go. But writing about speculative fiction, you can find links for those. So,
and you're at Matt. You're at what's your Twitter handle again?
The Crossbar RSL.
Crossbar.
I don't know if I ever told you the story behind that.
I don't know if you have. Why don't you tell us?
So when I first started going regularly to Real Salt Lake games, I was in the north end and about 5-6 rows up. And to to see the game, I had to duck to look under the crossbar. So, and then the name of the podcast, Off the Crossbar, came in because we started a podcast in 2014, and the last Real Salt Lake thing that had happened was Lavelle Palmer smashing the ball off the crossbar as we lost the MLS Cup. So, pain all around.
Yeah, pain all around. Well, Matt, thank you again for doing this. I was worried we were going to have to do this a lot more times this year, but we do at least have one more time, and because we have a Leagues Cup game on the docket.
Yeah, and we're in the same set.
Yeah, we might be playing in the Open Cup too.
I would like that.
Yeah,
that would mean that we beat Portland. So I mean,
yeah. Hey, yeah, we'll take that. Absolutely. Yeah. I hope. Yeah. Geez.
All right. So we got at least 4 or 5 more times we play each other.
Right,
So,
and then
we'll
maybe we'll play 3 times in the playoffs.
That sounds. Oh wow. Yeah. This is the ridiculous league. I just can't.
I know. It's rather silly, but well, thank you, Matt, for joining me today. Thanks to our sponsors, Full Pull Wines and Watson's Counter. Of course, thank you to our Substack subscribers. If you want to become a subscriber, you can find us at nosadietis.substack.com. I am Jeremiah Shan, joining, and this is Nos Adietis, and we'll catch you next time.
We love you. Let's win another one!